Hello everyone, I'm Aladesh and I'll be here. My life as a cult leader for RPG. So the game came out from Friday to Saturday, your typical Kagura games when they come out. It's always from that time. Uh, so this game is developed by like Dwarfsoft, but it has something like before that is like ArcSoft, Bros, Dwarfsoft, and then of course published by Kagura Games. And like any other game from Kagura Games, if you want to get all the content, you need to get the uncensored patch that you can get it from their website for free. You only need to buy the game and then go to their website and get the game and get the patch for free. So this is like different from other Kagura games. It's like because many of them is always RPG Maker. This one is like a visual novel, and it's not even like with RPG Maker. It's like with a different engine. I don't even know. So let's see. I was sitting alone on a bench in a mostly deserted park. I've been here since noon, thought it was much livelier then. When the fur building exploded, the birds that had been so happily chirping amongst the trees took flight, no doubt seeking brighter skies. I watched them go with envy, wishing I could go do the same. Not long after, a state of emergency was declared. The laughter that until then made the park feel like my own personal sanctuary was cut short as parents rushed their kids back to the safety of their homes. It's all because of those damn cults. To say the city was in dire straits would be an understatement. Some sort of mania had gripped the population, resulting in an unprecedented boom in cultist activity. These days, you could practically find one on every street corner. Death cults, polygamous cults, terrorist cults, whatever flavor you could think of, we had it, and in great abundance. As for myself, I was the newly displaced victim of two particularly notorious cults. The first had bombed the office building I work at earlier today, putting me out of a job. I wish I could say it was one of those incidents where everyone escaped unscathed, but considering my boss' blood smeared ID card landed right next to me after the blast sent me flying out of a window, well, let's just say I wasn't expecting to get a call anytime soon about relocating to a different building. As for my own condition, I got off pretty light, some minor cuts and bruises, a twisted ankle, clothes stained with the blood of my friends and co-workers. Nothing workers' comp will not cover. Once I finally got it together and dragged myself back to my apartment complex, my heart dropped. The building was wrapped in so much police tape, it almost looked like a package waiting to be delivered. One of the officers on the scene explained to me that a number of rotting corpses had been discovered in some of the rooms, and the building had quickly been condemned. Needless to say, I didn't receive much in the way of compensation or assistance. The officer simply handed me a voucher for a local hotel and suggested I seek more permanent lodgings as quickly as possible. Ever since, I'll be sitting here on this park bench, bemoaning by fate. You'll think I'll be an outside covered in blood and scratch as I was, but not in the city. Not in the city. What the hell is local government even doing? I know our political parties are practically cults in themselves, but this is ridiculous. The park's custodian sneaked at my joke. He was the only person other than me who stuck around, even after the state of emergency was declared. On his wage, he probably didn't have much of a choice. I considered asking if his employer had any job openings, but his unkempt beard, missing teeth, and dirt cake features convinced me otherwise. He clearly had it just as bad as me, if not worse. I was sooner join a cult myself before entering the public sector. Just then, a long black limousine pulled up in front of the park's entrance. Part of me prayed it was the cult that blown up my office come to finish the job, but that didn't seem to be the case. Instead, a gorgeous woman in a blue suit stepped out of the vehicle and strode right up to me. At least, that's what I would like to say, but in actually she made me a beeline for the park's custodian of all people. While they spoke, I couldn't take my eyes off the woman. She was the very definition of a prim and proper businesswoman. Her movements were careful, considered, and dare I say, somewhat robotic. At the same time, her cherry blossom color eyes were piercing. I got the sense that they saw right through the custodian, that is, assuming there was even anything to see in someone like that. Clearly thought no small number of men would undoubtedly try this wasn't the woman to be crossed. Any lie you try to sneak by her would be swiftly exposed, leaving you at her mercy. Excuse me, may I have a word? Huh? Oh, sorry, I was in the middle of describing your appearance and didn't notice you walk over. Uh-huh. Would you mind if I sat next to you? I'm sure they are a much better place to sit than next to someone covered in blood and gore, but what man would say no? I gestured to the empty spot next to me, and the woman sat herself down with a smile. As soon as she did, the pleasant fragrance of her lavender perfume filled my nostrils, helping me relax. We sat in silence for a few moments, staring out at the city skyline. Despite it all, the light of setting sun made the distant skyscrapers glow a dazzling golden hue. Hard to believe it's the same city when it looks like this. I know exactly what you mean, which is why, before I knew it, a clipboard was in front of my face. I suppose she must have been holding it the entire time, but I was so mesmerized by their stunning looks that I hadn't even noticed it. Feeling like a fool for not realizing she was trying to tell me something sooner, I pushed the clipboard away, but rather than frown, the woman simply smiled and set it down on her lap. I apologize. It was presumptuous of me to believe someone in your shape will have the capacity to read a very generous proposal right now. Hey, I can read just fine. Whatever you are selling, I don't. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Shima Itsuki, and I serve as the mistress of Ishin no Kai, an up-and-coming cult here in the city. I doubt you have heard of us. The woman's veneer and of politeness was starting to get on my nerves, but any frustration I felt over her attitude was immediately swept away by her mention of a cult. Like a wounded animal, I scrambled over to the opposite end of the bench, putting as much distance between us as I could, and yet Shima merely chuckled, grinning at me from ear to ear. That clipboard, you are trying to get me tangled up in your cult, aren't you? Well, you clearly don't know who you're messing with. I'll have you know I have the city police on speed dial. Please, there's no need to trouble the fair officers of our city over something so inconsequential. Allow me to explain. Unlike the other cults you appear to have prior experience with, Ishinokai is a group that promotes love and happiness. We will never do something so inconvenient as blowing up your workplace, I assure you. Saw that on news, huh? And love and happiness? Yeah, I've heard that one on 1,000 times before. Why don't you try coming up with some new material? I waved a hand dismissively, but she only pursed her lips and scooted closer to me. It seemed it wouldn't be as easy to get rid of her as I was expecting. I know how it sounds, but if I'm not mistaken, neither of us can afford to sit here on this bench and do nothing. We desperately need a new figurehead, and you desperately need a roof over your head. Am I wrong? Her words made the gears start turning in my head. At first I thought she wanted to turn me into just another follower, but figurehead? This warrant further questioning. Wait. You want me to lead your cult? What happened to the previous guy? He's undisposed at the moment. Oh, sure, probably he's dead at this point. You mean he's dead? Not yet, but thought that certainly seems to be his destination. Okay, at least she said. And you are sure you didn't poison him? No more than the city poisons the minds of its people. Hmm? The way she was evading my questions didn't exactly fill me with confidence, but was far from done interrogating her. Why me then? Why not ask Kusain over there to take over? Oh, but I did. He was my first choice, but he apparently already leads two cults, so it didn't feel right to impose him further. In disbelief, I glanced over at the park's custodian. He must have been eavesdropping our conversation because he shot me a beaming smile and gave me one of the cheesiest thumbs up I ever seen. Is there anyone in this city who isn't in a cult? Statistically speaking, you'll be surprised. That's why those of us in Ishinokai are trying to be a force for good. We want to help people seek joy without sending them to an early grave. Well, you seem genuine, if nothing else. As do you. I will not still be talking to you if you were. Allow me to ask you a few final questions then. Why are you in such a rush to replace the previous head of Ishinokai? And you still haven't fully answered why you chosen me. We have an event, shall we say, coming up very soon that we require a figurehead for. That's our deadline. As for why I've chosen you, Ishin teaches that those in the deepest pits of despair hold the greatest potential for a life of joy. They are two sides of the same coin, after all. Sure, and this Ishin of yours is an actual deity with scriptures that you and all of the others follow? Oh my, no. It's all a load of rubbish. People just find it easier to believe in things when there's a higher power straight with it. I see. Well, everything you say sounds fine and dandy, but without any sort of salary, I don't see why I would. Oh, if you are so shallow that money salary you are after, you'll be in good hands. How does a million yen a month sound? 1 million? Just for this? I pretend to carefully weigh my options, but the choice was obvious. If I had to choose between making this park bench my new home and living it up as a wealthy cult leader, I would be stupid to stay here. Then again, the cults of the city had taken everything from me, and to say I trust every word that passed Shima's lips will be absurd. Every cult had its secrets, and I was sure hers was no different. Well, Probably it's a lot of women. When you put it that way, I guess it wouldn't hurt to give it a try. And if things aren't up to my standard as the leader, I should be able to fix that, right? Change starts from the top down. And I'm sorry, did that tumble I saw you take on news scramble your brain? You won't be making the decisions. That's not how it means to be a figurehead. Oh, right. I guess getting paid to do nothing has its perks too. Oh, how wonderfully naive. Clearly you're not in a state of mind to hear the specifics. But hopefully your hands are still in working order. Once again, the clip of from before was pushed right in front of me. I briefly considered skimming the 57-page content, but I'll never read a legal document before, and I didn't intend to start now. After confirming that the style was as Shima did said, I put my signature at the bottom of the final page. As I returned the clipboard to her, I saw the park's custodian give me a knowing nod. Well then, welcome aboard, whoever you are. Huh? I just gave you my signature, you can see it right there on. That was just a formality. As the figurehead, your name is more or less irrelevant. Or at least it will be until tax season, but we can cross that bridge when we get there. I could say the same of you. It's not every day you live through a bombing only to lose your home shortly after. I really do feel terrible for you. That might be the nicest thing you say to me since we start talking, Miss Itsuki. Thanks. Well then, why not keep this momentum up? You must be hungry after such a long day, no? What do you say we head back to headquarters, show you around and get something in your stomach? Even if I said no, you'll see right through me, wouldn't you? As if to insist it wouldn't be ignored, my stomach groaned loudly. I probably that settled that, because in lieu of answering, Shima got her feet, dusted her skirt off, and offered to help me up. You don't mind sitting shotgun, do you? I promised Mr. Ishikawa we will drive him home, and thought we may be trying to effect change. A certain level of respect is expected of us. Shima gestured to the park custodian, who seemed to finally be done collecting litter. His name was Mr. Ishikawa, huh? Talk about a poster boy for not judging a book by its cover. I understood what she was getting at, of course. Just because our cult was trying to shake things up didn't mean we could go around insulting those of other persuasions. They vastly outnumber us, after all. Unable to help myself from cracking a self-deprecating smile, I placed my hand in Shima's and let her help me to my feet. Yeah, that's fine by me. I'm in your hands, Mr. Itsuki. Okay. So now we are figuring out this something no Kai or something like that. Ishin no Kai, there we go. It was almost pitch black by the time we made it to Ishin no Kai's headquarters. I crawled out of Shima limousine, hoping my face wasn't half as pale as I suspected. Apparently Mr. Ishikawa had requested we drop him off on the doorstep of the doomsday cult he headed, which turned out to be far more extreme than I could ever imagine. The white, imposing building had been surrounded by a barbed wire fence that may or may not have been electrically charged. Armored guards stood watch outside, calling at us as Mr. Ishikawa thanked us for the ride. Presuming my eyes weren't playing tricks on me, they even had mounted a device that shot jets of flame into the sky at set intervals. For all intents and purposes, they were not a group to mess with. In stark contrast, Ishinokai's place of operation looked almost like a luxurious mansion. A simple iron gate flanked by two warmly lit lanterns were all that stood between me and brave new world. Are you feeling alright? I know that must have come as quite a shock. I'll be fine. I'm well aware of how far the city fallen. It's just that I've never seen anything so flagrantly unscrupulous for Jesus Christ, these words before. That won't be necessary, thank you. I raised my head just in time to see Shima's gesture to someone standing outside the gate. Unlike the guard in front of Doomsday Cult, this follower was carrying a decidedly non-lethal stack of flyers. Why the hell there was a dot in there? Like it ends a phrase. It seemed they will notice the look on my face and step forward to help me. I appreciate the sentiment. I hadn't even been here for 2 minutes and already felt like I stepped into a different dimension. As you can see, we like to have someone posted by the gate in order to spread the word of passerbys. And how has that been working out for you? With how many people take one look at me and laugh, I feel like I may have a promised career as stand-up comedian. I've been considering placing someone attractive by the gate in order to draw more interest. It may not be the sort of tactic I would like to resort to, but some things in this world never change. Did you have to say it like that, Miss Itsuki? I'm standing right here. Remember, it's Shin's teachings. Any happiness wrought from lies is no happiness at all. I lean in toward Shima and whisper in her ear. Did you just come up with that, or does it matter? Come along. Let's head inside. I'll get them to bust us in. Esoteric as ever, Shima stepped to the gate and gave a wave to that I could only assume was a hidden camera. With a creak, the gate swung open, and I followed her into the compound. Shima led me down a fairly modern looking alleyway. The exterior was impressive enough, but I was now certain this facility took a fortune to build. That begged the question, where did the money come from? We stopped in front of a plan floor plan mounted to the wall. There must have been at least 15 rooms on this floor alone, and judging by the place's facade, there were several more levels above us. I don't expect you to learn the building's layout right away, but try to familiarize yourself with it as quickly as possible. We wouldn't want you to get lost. Shima tapped a specific spot on the floor plan as she said that, which I quickly understood to be the hallway we were standing in. It seemed this floor also hosted an assembly hall, a shrine, a number of guest rooms, and the founder's room. If the previous leader was out of commission, did that make the founder's room mine? I can see what you are about to ask in your eyes. And no, the founder's room is off limits. It's currently occupied. Can I at least introduce myself to him then? No, I don't think that will be wise. The look on Shima's face told me I shouldn't press the issue further, so I sighed and took another look around the hallway. Noticing the emblem to my right, I tried to ask about it. That's the cult's emblem, isn't it? It looks kind of like those dice used on tabletop role-playing games. What's it stand for? That's not actually ours. You'll learn about it in due time. Her words didn't make much sense to me. Why was that symbol on the wall if it didn't belong to us? The mysteries were mounting, and Shima wasn't doing much to help me solve them. Alright then, how about we try a question you almost certainly can answer? What's your role in all this? You say I won't be making the decisions, so does that responsibility fall to you? Correct. I handle all of Ishin's Nokai administrative duties and accounting. Perhaps in time you'll prove yourself worthy of making your voice heard, but until then, you're just a newcomer. Suddenly I heard the sound of a cell phone vibrating. I instinctively reached for my pocket only to realize it was Shima's phone that went off. After checking it, she clicked her tongue and shook her head. What am I going to do with you, Marina? Marina? Sorry, but I have some things to take care of. Just so you are aware, there is an initiation ceremony tomorrow afternoon that you'll need to be present for. I'll see you then. Wait, you're just going to abandon me here? I still don't know where I'm staying or anything, really. Sorry, but I have some things to take care of. Just so you are aware, there is an initiation ceremony tomorrow afternoon that you'll need to be present of. I'll see you then. What? Again? That was repetitive. Look for Ayaka. She'll be able to get you settled in one of the guest rooms and feed you. You'll most likely find her at the shrine. You are capable enough to find your way there on your own, aren't you? With what felt to me like a mocking smile, she must strolled down the hall and turned the corner, disappearing from sight. It seemed I was being handed to a new babysitter, and I'll have to find her myself. The shrine, huh? I checked the floor plan again, just to be sure I remember where it was. As I thought, the shrine was adjacent to the assembly hall, uh, and a room that big would be hard to miss, which simplified things. Alright then, Miss Itsuki, I'll prove I'm more capable than you give me credit for. Feeling all fired up, I confidently turned around and marched down the hallway, eager to learn the lay of the land and meet this Ayaka person Shima mentioned. Unfortunately, it's the you can put. Okay. Uh, how the fuck do you save? There we go. Did it save? Act 1, Scene 2. I'm going to increase a little bit the volumes. As it turned out, my confidence was wholly misplaced because it didn't take long for me to get lost enough to ask a pair of followers who were out on a nightly stroll for directions. I think I'll just have to. By the way, can you click? Oh, right mouse button takes out the text. Oh, alright. I think I'll just have to avoid telling Miss Itsuki about my little mistake. If I ever want to be one calling the shots, I can't let anyone find out I don't know my left from my right. Scratching my head, I step into the shrine, only to stop dead in my tracks. There was a woman kneeling in front of the altar, her hands clasped together and her head bowed in prayer. I couldn't see her face from this angle, but her side-swept copper hair looked even silkier than Shima's, and she had curves in all the right. Noticing the expensive looking ring on her finger, I was once again stopped mid description. Checking out married woman was a huge no-no in my book. I like to think I was better than that. Plus, No one wants to get punched in the face by an angry husband. I saw it happen once back at the office, and that immediately dissuaded me from ever engaging in extramarital affairs. Please, Lady Sheen, help my husband see past himself and embrace your boundless love and generosity. It was then that I noticed the fragrant smell of incense that permeated the room. If she'll already lit the burner, I reasoned she must be near the end of her prayer, sure enough. Oh, pardon me. After rising to her feet and turning around, the woman covered her mouth with her hand and let out a little yelp of surprise. I silently hoped that in spying on her, I hadn't done something blasphemous. Sorry, I didn't mean to intrude. I'm the new leader of Ishin no Kai. Miss Shitsuki told me to look for Miss Ayaka here. You won't happen to be. Yes, you're founder. My name is Ayaka Yoshino. I'm a long-time member of Ishin no Kai. I've been a follower since my it must have been my university days. It's an honor to meet you. Likewise, by the way, you can call me. Oh no, I could never be so disrespectful as to call you anything other than sir. I deeply apologize if I made you think otherwise. Alright, if you insist. Like, Shima already said that we don't. The name doesn't matter until tax season, is what she says. So probably uh, to make the tax, you're gonna need to give a name. It looks like. Uh, Judging by the softness in Ayaka's emerald eyes and speed with which she blurted out an apology, I won't have to worry about my self-esteem around her. She and Shima were totally opposites. You've been a member since you attended university, you say? Does that mean this cult's been around for a while? Well, realizing I might have said something insensitive, I early start to apologize, sensing my intentions. Ayaka shook her head, her brow remaining furrowed all the while. It's nothing to do with that, sir. Thought I'm older than most of the congregation. To answer your question, I've been a follower for over 10 years now. That long? But that will mean the uptick in occultist activity had only come to light within the past decade, meaning Ishinokai must have been one of the first groups of its kind. Hearing that made me feel kind of special. If you'll excuse me for saying so, I get the feeling you aren't especially familiar with our faith, sir. Please, there's no need to be so formal around me. You seem right, though. In all honesty, I hadn't even heard about Ishinokai before today, so I feel a little like a fish out of water. For now, will it be too much trouble to ask you to show me around and help me get settled? I'll greatly appreciate it if you could scrunch up some food for me as well. It's been a bit of a rough day. I gestured to my clothing, the bloodstains from before I'd since dried and started cracking. But they remain as obvious as ever. Frankly, I was surprised that Ayaka hadn't commented on my appearance. It will be my pleasure, sir. We may as well begin with the room we are currently in, which I'm sure you figure out its shrine. Yeah, sorry. But I overheard at the end of your prayer earlier. I assume you come here, light some incense, and say a few words to Ishin? That is the basic order of things, yes. Would you like to try saying a quick prayer yourself before we proceed to the assembly hall? I appreciate the offer, but my prayers have already been answered and then some, so I wouldn't want to push my luck today. Is that so? Well, I'm elated to hear it. In truth, I wasn't too keen on bowing my head before Ishin because of what Shima say about this all being a load of crap. Still, I wasn't lying when I said my prayers had been answered. Well, surrounded by a good-looking woman. Hello. If you follow me, then Ayaka and I exit from the shrine into the assembly hall. I'll pass through here just a few minutes ago, but while it had been started before, several followers were now shuffling about hard at work. As you can see, this is our assembly hall, where we hold all of your ceremonies. If you have spoken with Miss Ishima, she's already told you about the initiation ceremony tomorrow, yes? Briefly. Would you mind walking me through what exactly something like that entails? What will my role in it be? Well, do you see those bamboo blinds that divide the room? Under normal circumstances, you'll sit on the raised platform behind them so that only your silhouette is visible to aspiring followers. Only my silhouette? Is that what I look like supposed to be a secret or something? Is that why Miss Itsuki forbade me from meeting the previous figurehead? No, nothing like that. As I implied, these aren't normal circumstances. Usually, the spirit of Ishin will enter you and she will bless the initiates through you, but considering you're unfamiliar with our faith, it may take some time for you to connect with her. As such, the ceremony tomorrow will likely be more of a simple meet and greet. I see. I glanced around the assembly hall, watching as the other followers got ready for tomorrow's ceremony. They seemed fairly disciplined, but all of them wore big smiles on their face. Well, almost all of them. Kiriko, you don't need to scrub the floor that hard. It's fine. No, I almost got it. This is so frustrating. The woman who had been addressed as Kirik was scrubbing at a stain on the floor that just wouldn't come out. The look in her eyes told me I'll probably lose my head if I approach without announcing myself. Not again. That's Kiriko Itami, one of the newer members of our faith. As you can see, she's been having a difficult time finding happiness and acclimating to our ways. I'm sorry to hear that. Well, the least I can do is go over there and introduce myself. Ha, sir, I don't think that's a wise. Ignoring Ayaka's outstretched hand, I approached Kiriko as a lion would an antelope. If I was going to be responsible for my followers' well-being, even if only in name, I'd like to act like a born leader. Miss Tommy, I presume. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is. I don't give a damn who you are. All I care about is getting this stain out. It's the only way I can attain true happiness. Is she always like this? I looked to the follow address Kiriko before, but she was halfway out the door, eyes wide and arms raised like a frightened rabbit. It would seem Kiriko had a bit of reputation around here. Miss Itami, wouldn't you please apologize? This is the newly appointed leader of Ishino Kai, so it won't do to treat him so disgracefully. Wait, you are the new. Apparently coming to her sense, Kiriko tossed the brush. She had been scrubbing the floor with a sigh and leapt to her feet. I smiled at her and held out my hand for a handshake, before I knew it, her hands were on my shoulders, and she was shaking me back and forth. Please tell me you're going to put that stuck-up Shima in her place. If I have to hear her to, if I have to hear to her tell me off one more time, I'll. Missy Tommy, if you wish to speak of putting people in their place, perhaps you should first remember yours. Sorry about that. Finally realizing her error, Kiriko released me. She started bending down to retrieve her cleaning brush, but Ayaka held up a hand to stop her. I know how much you'd like throwing in the towel, but I think it will be best for you to leave the rest to your peers, don't you? Yes, ma'am. Kiriko trudged of the room, dejected. Once she was finally out of sight, Ayaka's expression softened, and she let out a little sigh. She clearly wasn't a fan of taking a harsh tone with people, but some just require sterner iron than others. I got the feeling if Shima had been here, Ayaka would gladly left the situation to her. I'm sorry you were subject to that, sir. She didn't harm you, I hope. If anything, I'm surprised. I didn't think you were such an authority figure around here. Is your seniority to blame, or I like to think of myself more as a maternal figure. I do my best to guide our more inexperienced followers, and I help organize the cooking and cleaning to lighten Miss Itsuki's load. Speaking of which, it sounds like you can't wait a moment longer. Shall we get to you settle in a room and get some food in your belly? You took the words right out of my mouth. I'm right behind you. Back in the park. Unfortunately, most of the rooms were already taken, so I was forced to take a room all the way up on the fifth floor. I thought the walk up the stairs would kill me, but Ayaka seemed plenty used to it. Apparently, we took in a number of individuals who were down on their luck, myself included, so most of the rooms were perpetually full. In fact, this floor had just been added not too long ago. My accommodations were pretty bare bones, but I couldn't complain. I'll take a tatami mat over a park bench any day of the week, and the room had sadly cozy atmosphere about it. Ayaka, Ayaka looked pleased as punch as she gets some miso soup down on the little table to the side of the room and gestured for me to dig in. As I will yet to eat today, I plopped myself down and did just that. I don't know if it was the starvation talking or if it was a testament to Ayaka's cooking skills, but the first bite I took was delicious. To think I'll begin my day in hell and end it in heaven. Crazy stuff. Somehow smiling even more widely than before, Ayaka gave a little bow and started to excuse herself, but I gestured for her to sit. I didn't want to miss this opportunity to ask her a few questions. You know, I hadn't thought about it before, but you keep referring to Ishin as a woman. What makes you so confident in her gender? You aren't the first to ask her. She's announced herself as such during our ceremonies. And there are no issues when it comes to her possessing the leaders of your order. I mean, if I'm a man and she's a woman, won't that make things difficult? Rest assured, there's a certain rationale behind our why our leaders have historically been men. Thought it may be impudent of me to repeat it. There's no need to hesitate. What's the reason? Well, Miss Itsuki says a man's heart and mind are more easily swayed than a woman's. Hence, it's easier for Ishin to work through members of the opposite gender. That's quite a reason. It was obvious that Ishin being a woman was something Shima had pulled out of thin air, but it was good to know I'll have to act more feminine during the ceremonies. By the way, I don't mean to pry, but when you were praying for your husband earlier, is that something you are willing to share? Oh yes, you heard that, didn't you? It's nothing special private. I've just been trying to get my husband to join Yoshino Kai for years now, and every time I think I've convinced him, I'm back to square one. He's a good man, really. It's just I worry for him. You understand, don't you, sir? All too well. In a city like this, it's best to keep those important to you close. You never know when disaster will strike, like it did for me. Well then, how about this? After I wake up tomorrow morning, I'll mosey on over to the shrine and say a little prayer for you and your husband. You will? You are too kind, sir, but thank you. The conversation kind of petered out after that, and once I was done eating the soup Ayaka had so kindly prepared for me, she retrieved the bowl and excused herself from the room. Still reeling from all that will happen today, I laid my head down on the tatami mat. I wasn't entirely convinced of this cult's purpose and Shima's intentions, but in time, perhaps I'll be swayed. As I mulled over my seemingly bright future as a cult leader, I drifted off into deep, uninterrupted sleep. Go take a chance to save. The next morning, I was woken by a follower being asked to deliver a bowl of porridge to me. After scarving it down, I got dressed and made my way to the shrine to fulfill my promise to Ayaka. Except when I emerged into the assembly hall, I bumped into Shima, who scolded me for not wearing my ceremonial robes. Admittedly, I'll put on some plain clothes without thinking, but it made no difference to me. The simple fact that I was no longer wearing clothes kicking blood was enough to make me feel like a new man. So, once I donned the same white robes as everyone else, I returned to Shima and flashed her a smile. Ah, excellent. That's one less box on my agenda. Returning my smile, Shima checked off a box on her clipboard. I guess she must have expected I'll show up in the wrong outfit and put it on her to-do list. Well then, where do you need me, Miss Itsuki? Behind those blinds? No, I don't think that will be necessary today. Until I've briefed you on how our initiation ceremonies normally operate, we'll switch it up and do things face to face. Are you sure? Miss Yoshino told me all about how the spirit of Ishin possesses the leader and speaks through them. I think I could handle that. Shima seemed to be genuine considering my proposal, which was enough for me. I might not have been the one calling the shots, but as long as I could at least bounce some ideas off her, I'll be happy. Who the fuck is this? I think it's a great idea, Shima. Come on, let him do it. Pretty please. Out of nowhere, a sprightly young woman bounded up to us and wrapped herself around my arm. I stared at her wide-eyed, stunned by how overly familiar she was acting. When I realized I knew her from somewhere. You are Marina Nishiki, that famous idol everyone's talking about. Oh, does my reputation precede me? Well, it's nice to meet you too, big boy. Back at my old job, Marina was the talk of the office. The man wouldn't shut up about her, so I knew more about her than I probably should have. Her measurements, for instance. In fact, I'm pretty sure her appearance was the entire reason she was famous. No one at the office had ever mentioned how beautiful her voice was, and I certainly never heard her sing myself. On the contrary, the women around the office seemed to believe all of the Marines singing was lip-synced or auto-tuned. That was far from the worst they would whisper about her, but as a man, yeah, sorry, I couldn't bring myself to care about any of that. From tip to toe, she was good as a bottom, and she was clinging to my arm like a lost child. Was I dreaming? Because it sure felt like it. Well, it appears planned. There won't be any summoning today. What? Why are you always like this, Shima? Meanie. Yeah, what made you change your mind so suddenly, Miss Itsuki? You don't know, but this child is nothing but trouble. If you will recall the phone call I received shortly before we separated yesterday, it concerned her latest stunt. Oh shit. Did you listen to my song after I called it? Did you? It's great, isn't it? The perfect advertisement for Yoshino Kai. No, actually. Naming your new single Yak on Nishi Nyosh. What? Oh, Shine Ishinokai. Oh, but it's on the opposite. Oh, shit. It's quite possibly the most imbecilic thing you have done to date. Setting all the notes it is aside, do you have any idea how delicate of a position we are in with the co-op right now? This kind of attention does nothing to help our standing. You realize that, yes, stupid girl? Sorry, Shima, I'll put on out an announcement on my social feeds that it was working title and change the name. That no longer matters, the damage is done. Just please stop acting above your station for once in your life and let me worry about our marketing, okay? Okay. Looking even more gutted than I did yesterday, Marina released me from her iron grip and slunk off into the crowd. I stayed frozen in place, still processing what just happened, while Shima rolled her eyes. If it wasn't obvious, Marina likes to act as tough. She occupies a higher rank than she actually does. You aren't the first authority figure she's coasted up to, and I'm positive you won't be the last. Technically, she's not even supposed to be here right now, but she insisted that her charming good looks will help put the new initiates at ease. Utterly ridiculous. Sounds like she's a handful. Well then, what do you say we get this show on the road? It looks like there are a lot of people here. Far more than I would have expected. I surveyed the room as I spoke, astounded by the number of people who showed up. There had to be at least 100 people here, and while I knew that includes some current members, it was still impressive. Yeah, lads, if you could just stand between those lanterns over there, we'll get everyone to form an orderly line and begin the ceremony. As I struck, I approached the lanterns and positioned myself between them. Yet, to my surprise, I wasn't alone. Ayaka joined me, looking as radiant as ever. It then struck me that if there was anyone in Shiki no Kai who could be considered Shima's equal, it was Ayaka. Much as Marina might have wished otherwise, Ayaka's altruistic nature was without equal. Hello again, sir. Miss Mitsuki asked me to help you move the line along and get a feel for the flow of the initiation ceremony. Ayaka gestured with a finger for the first initiate to step forward. He was an unkempt-looking businessman dressed in a wrinkled suit sported, sported a 5 o'clock shadow. Go and be blessed, my child. That isn't how this goes, sir. We ask all of our new recruits to share what troubles them the most. Then Ishin grants them a promise that will lighten their burden. A promise? Yes, and that promise serves as Ishin's blessing. In many cases, she promised something tangible. Thought there are certain situations where such a thing is impossible. I see. Well then, what's been waiting on your mind, sir? You see, there were these bombings yesterday. My wife and daughter were visiting me during my lunch break, and the man's bloodshot eyes darted around, like he was in a hurry to get out of here, but was struggling to find the right words. If he and his family fell victim to the bombings yesterday, we were the same. Needless to say, he must have been working in one of the other office buildings they will hit, because I've never seen him before. Still, I knew his pain all too well. My wife made it out without any real injury, but my daughter is in critical condition. We can't afford the hospital bills. If this truly is a place of love and understanding, then... I glanced off at Ayaka, who nodded back resolutely. I guess she was leaving the form of the blessing to me. As I wasn't being possessed by Ishin right now, the man's fate was entirely in my hands. I feel your pain, and by Ishin's grace, good future will come to you very soon. You have my word on that. Good fortune? What kind of good fortune? Could you be more specific? Please, I don't have time for what ifs. The man fell to his knees, clasping his hands together and looking up at me with tear-streaked eyes of desperation. I saw Shima start toward me, but the words were already halfway out of my mouth. You'll soon come into 5, no, better, 10 million yen. 10 million? Hey, I didn't want to lowball the guy. Medical fish have gotten to be pretty out of control lately, you know? The only thing that's out of control is you. Do you have any idea what you just done? What's the problem? Is she not loud enough to save the poor guy's daughter? Besides, this all make-believe, isn't it? No, it's not. Whatever you promised them, we actually have to deliver on it. That's how we uphold the illusion of Ishin existence. What? And didn't occur to you tell me about this sooner? Well, I didn't think you were about to promise the world to the first person who stood in front of. Nishitsuki, please, there's no need to squabble. What our leader has promised is perfectly fine. But Ayaka. Good sir, please raise your head. As our glorious leader proclaimed, you'll surely have no trouble paying for your daughter's treatment. Really? Thank you so much. I won't forget this. I'll bring my wife and daughter as soon as she gets better, you'll see. Just watch what you say from now on. The man was led out of the room, and Shima retreated into the crowd. I wasn't entirely sure what just happened. For a second it almost seemed like Ayaka was in charge, but that couldn't be, right? I admire your good intentions, sir, but please do be more mindful of what you prophesize from now on, for Mrs. Itsuki's sake. Sure, I'll do that. I scratched my head bashfully as the next white recruit stepped forward. This one seemed to be on the younger side, university age by my reckoning, and had an air of unquenchable curiosity about her. After glancing about the room for several seconds, her amethyst eyes finally came to rest on me. Running a hand through her pointy tail, she parted her tiny lips and said something truly baffling. Hey, no need to give me the spiel about how this works. Seems pretty straightforward. I want this Ishin lady to kill my parents. What the fuck? I want this Ishin lady to kill my parents for me. Do that and you got yourself a born again believer. Kill your parents? Murmurs of disapproval rumbling through the crowd. I look over at Ayaka to see if she was just as taken aback as I was. But it wasn't disbelief I saw in her eyes. Rather, there was a question. May I ask your name, miss? Rui Sakura. What's to you, old hack? I don't mean to stress you haven't thought this through, but are your parents truly deserving of such a harsh punishment? No, duh. They are a pair of rednecks who won't be able to read the letters on a moral compass, much less follow the damn thing. Listen, either Ishin can do this nice and clean, without any fuss, or I go to the cops and get them to calm down hard on my parents. Irredeemably asks, what's it's gonna be? I couldn't believe what I was hearing, and I clearly wasn't alone, because several initiates twisted their face in disgust and made for the exit. Marina tried to stop them, but I looked to Ayaka for support, only to be met with a nod. Unsure of how to interpret that, I searched for Shima in the crowd, but she simply gave me a stern nod as well. Wait, they couldn't be suggesting. Why is it when it comes to money, I get chewed up, but murdering a young lady parent is perfectly acceptable? Rest assured, your parents won't bother you any longer. Ishin will put your worries to rest, I think? Great, thanks for being a real one, Chief. Hui clapped me on the shoulder and gave me a wink before following one of our helpers out of the room. I rolled my eyes and blinked a few times, making sure I wasn't dreaming before turning to Ayaka. Did I just... This is exactly what I was afraid of. So what have I... Ayaka just stared at me determinedly, but before I had a chance to press the issue, I felt a hand on my shoulder and turned around. Shima was standing there, looking surprised pleased with me. You did well, for once. If you are worried about their parents, don't be. This isn't an uncommon occurrence, I know. We don't really go around assassinating people. I have more faith in us. If you don't kill them, then what? If a new follower comes along with whining about someone they never want to see again, without stirring R in their name and pay the aggressor or aggressors off. And if they don't back off, they always do. Money is a universal language after all. You're really pulling that card after telling me off for promising that other guy to pay for his daughter's hospital bills? Spread the wealth is fine, but not to the tune of 10 million yen. Our coffers aren't bottomless, you realize. We have to try and pace ourselves, which is why we don't accept new initiates often. Alright, but enough with secrecy. Where is all this money coming from? I'm sure we pull in a decent amount from donations, but millions upon millions of yen? I just don't see it. That doesn't concern you. Now let's keep this line moving. Shima once again disappeared into the crowd. I was actually starting to get pretty peeved at her. But standing here and letting my anger stew wouldn't do me any good. I still had a long line to get through. Are you ready to get back to it, sir? I hesitated for a moment, searching Ayaka's face. Though her smile was as genuine as ever, I couldn't shake the feeling that her and Shima both were privy to certain secrets the rest of us weren't. Thinking of it made me feel really bad for Marina. It seemed like she was doing her best to help the cult grow and prosper, but Shima was shutting her down at every turn. The pieces weren't adding up. Yeah, I guess. A mischievous little idea had taken root in my mind, and it only continued ballooning as I waved the next person forward. The third initiate of the day was a little old lady with a crooked back. She didn't come across as the type who needed anything especially grand, but that was irrelevant. Thank you for taking the time to hear me out, Sonny. My story begins 8 decades ago, when I was no taller than There's no need for that, ma'am. How does 15 million yen sound? Sir, what are you saying all of a sudden? 50 million? Why, my grandchild won't see fit to call me every once in a while if I give them such a paltry sum for the holidays. The old woman flashed me a sly grin, which I returned in kind. We may have had different motives, but I was glad the next initiate turned out to be a convenient old bat. Oh, that's enough. 10 Ishin will just bump that up to a nice round 20. That's enough of you. Ma'am, we will just have to make do with the extreme generous promises already related to you. Sheepsteaks. The old woman whacked me across the knee with her cane before shuffling away, grumbling about how she would have tried the local doomsday cult instead. Both Ayaka and Shima fixed me with disapproving glares. I chuckled and shrugged my shoulders, acting like a little rascal who was just gotten caught in the act. Give a man an inch and he'll take a mile. You just lost any authority you think you had here. Plus, I'll be skimming your wage for next year. I hope you are proud of yourself. Yeah, that felt pretty satisfying. Now, if you just take a step back, I have plenty more people to bless. I think not. Change of plans. We are going to head behind these blinds, and you are going to say exactly what I tell you to. If you deviate from my instructions by even a single word, you'll be back out on the streets before you know what hit you. Your contract will be voided, and am I understood? I'm starting to see why Marina goes behind your back all the time. You should really try learning to lighten up. I'll take that as a yes. Now before we head back there, tell me your phone number. I should have done this as soon as you signed it. My phone number? I felt like I'll piss Shima off enough for one day, so I did as I asked and recited to her. She nodded as I spoke, scratching my number down on her clipboard in a rather aggressive manner. Seeing as you can't be trusted, I'll be calling you from time to time to keep tabs on you. Upon request, you'll provide a detailed description what you're doing along with accompanying pictures. Ayaka, once we are done here, I'll relay his number to you as well. I would like you to assist me in monitoring him. Are we clear? I am at your service, Miss Itsuki. Good, come along, Colette. You have wreaked enough havoc for one day. With a little sigh, I followed Shima behind the blinds. I knelt down on the elevator platform there, fully slipping into my role as Ishin mouthpiece. Was what I've done worth it? Hard to say. I was sure I'll gotten my point across, but part of me felt like I'll give an opportunity to prove I could be trusted only to blow it spectacularly. Whatever the case, trust is a two-way street, and if I couldn't trust Shima, I didn't much care if she trusted me. As for Ayaka, I'll have to think on how I felt about her after the day's events. Speaking of which, the rest of the initiation ceremony was dull and uneventful. Getting fed lunch wore out its welcome even quicker than I expected, and the sob stories were unending. Oh fuck, I didn't even read the last one. Jesus. Also inside my room, I threw off my robes and changed into the set of pajamas that had been prepared for me. Feeling thoroughly exhausted, I was strongly considering going right to bed, and yet, just as I sat myself down on the tatami mat, I stopped and stared at the booklet on the table to the side of the room. I'd been too busy chatting with Hayek the night before to pay it much mind. Now, it has the same symbol as the one I saw in the hallway on it. Maybe this will help clear a few things up. I rose from the tatami mat and reached a hand out toward the booklet, only to stop short. Someone was at my door, cursing under my breath. I hope it wasn't Shima come to scold me again. Luckily to me, it was someone wholly unexpected. Not bothering to wait for an invite, Marina pushed past me and did a little spin, surveying my home with all the gusto of a kid at an amusement park. Whoa! I love what you've done with the place. Everything is exact as it was when the room was prepared for me, but thanks, I guess? It may have been a tiring day for me, but Marina looked as spunky and brimming with energy as ever. Still, that didn't stop her smile from vanishing when she noticed what I was wearing. Oh, sorry, I didn't think you'll be turning in this early. I was going to ask if you want to go out for a drink or something, but are you sure you are old enough for that? Rude. For information, I'm older than I look, and I could drink a bully like Shima under the table. Seeing Marina's visual reaction to my teasing made me unable to hold back a guffaw. She crossed her arms and spun away from me, her lower lip protruded in a pout. I knew looks were one of an idol's greatest assets, but even taking that into consideration, Marina was one of the youngest looking followers I've met since joining Yoshino Kai. I had to wonder how much of it resulted from her personality. The girl who asked Ishin to kill her parents earlier, Hui, was surely a few years Marina Jr., but her attitude made her seem more mature. I don't like when people push me around. Fine, I'm sorry, okay? You seem more forthright than some of the other followers I've met, so I won't mind sharing a drink with you, but I think I'll prefer to settle in for the night. That's no problem at all. I can call for a room service. One of Ayaka's little helpers will bring something up for us. Before I could object, Marina's cell phone was already against her ear. I don't know what I expected, honestly. If Shima wasn't able to keep up with her, what made me think I will do any better? At the very least, this could be a valuable opportunity to draw some information out of Marina and get to know her a little better. I did wonder how a super popular idol ended up joining a cult. A few minutes later, we heard another knock at my door, and a middle-aged man brought in a tray with a flask and 2 cups. After setting it down on the table, he gave us a bow and left. I gestured for Marina to sit and pick up the flask, smelling its contents. The nutty aroma that filled my nostrils wasn't familiar to me, but I could only assume it was some type of sake. Come to think of it, I don't believe I got a chance to introduce myself earlier. My name is... No, don't tell me. I'm not listening. La 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 la. Marina covered her ears with her hands and shook her head from side to side. What was it with people in this cult not wanting to hear my name? Silly as it was kind of starting to bother me. As I grumbled, I poured us each some sack. As I set the flask down, I plucked my cup off the tray and swirled the pale liquid around, considering whether I should drink it down in one gulp or not. Well, if I ever end up writing a song about you, it's better for you to have an air of mystery about it. Stuff like that really gets my imagination going, you know? I'm not really sure I follow. Wait, a song? Why in the world would someone like you write a song about a nobody like me? About that, Marina scooted toward me. Taking her drink with her, I gulped. All of a sudden, I felt like a butterfly caught in a spider web, and also was almost started coming that I didn't want to hear. The previous lady and I were a couple. It wouldn't be all that weird for us to go the same way, wouldn't it? If I had been mid-sip, I was sure I would spit it out my drink. Marina and the guy I took over for were in a relationship? Then maybe she could tell me more about what happened to him. Whoa, hold up. You are going to have to tell me more about this other guy. Misitsuki keeps shutting me down every time I try to learn more about him and Ishinokai as a whole. I don't want to talk about him, Tom. He's old news. I don't think you should say that about someone who's in deathbed. He is on deathbed, isn't he? I assume he's being cared for in one of the guest rooms. He got really sick all of a sudden. I got to see him every so often, but Shima always scolds me for bothering him. I don't think he has much time left, and I've been really lonely since then. Marina sighed up even closer to me, and I'd never seen my face behind my cup, emptying it in a single swig. If only the guys at the office could see me now, I'm sure they would be cheering me on. Why me, Tom? I'm just an old-name businessman who was recently put out of a job. We only just met this morning. Surely you have plenty of files out there who are far handsomer and more successful. I guess you could say I'm attracted to many positions of authority. Marina leaned her face in close to mine, and then... Just kidding. The romantic atmosphere was vaporizing in an instant as Marina pulled down her eyelid and struck her tongue out at me. With a giggle, she slid back over to the opposite end of the table. If my coworkers were looking down on me from the great beyond, it was a given that they were laughing their ass off. Sure, laugh it up, at least I hadn't died a slow, agonizing death. That's what you get for making a mockery of the great Marina. I'm not just old enough to drink, I'm smarter, more talented, and more discerning than anyone else in Ishinokai. With a competitive grin, she slammed her sake back, refilled her cup, and wasted no time in emptying it in a second time. To tell the truth, she was kind of starting to scare me. That's you to your one, beat that. I get the feeling no matter how hard I try to outdrink you, you'll have beat me. You'll have me beat. Really tough. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Why is Shinokai? Do you actually believe in this stuff? No, and if you ask me, I doubt many people do. When you get right down to it, this is just a glorified homeless shelter, and that makes for good press. You are only here for the optics then? Bingo! This place is my one-way ticket to stardom, and with a dummy like Ayaka footing the bill, why wouldn't I take advantage of that? Whoa, slow down, I'm confused. Aren't you already a national phenomenon? And what's all this about Miss Yoshino footing a bill? Oh, didn't you know? Ayaka's the daughter of a wealthy oil baron. I have friends in the industry who say they have seen him tossing loads of cash around a cabaret club. 8 Shine, I think. Anyway, she's basically one of the richest people in the nation. All that money you promised during the ceremony this morning comes right out of her piggy bank. Really? And she's okay with that? Well, honestly, I don't know if she's even aware of it. You've seen how she acts, right? She thinks Ishin the greatest thing since sliced bread. She's a genuine believer. True. I find it hard to believe that she's been faking her faith. If that's the case though, it raises so many questions. So I think she's a victim of a fraud. You know, the clipboard Shima always carrying around, don't you? Every so often I've seen what looks like a debit card slipped to it. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Ayaka's. You think she just steals her car out of her purse or something? No, that's ridiculous. How would she not notice? She's too trusting. I've seen her leave her purse unattended for long periods of time, and you might think 20 million yen is a lot, but for someone like her, it's just a drop in the bucket. Then she doesn't notice because the money that gets funneled into Ishinokai is so significant to her, that's crazy. Yeah, can we change the subject? I don't want to see a nice lady like Ayaka get hurt, and I like talking about it even less. Sure, then what about what you said earlier? Come on, you and I both know you're already a massive celebrity. Is that not enough for you? After a lengthy pause, Marina snatched the flask of sake off the table and emptied it in a matter of seconds, slamming it back down on the tray. She stood up, turned around, and reached for the doorknob. That's personal. Good night. Interesting. Just like that, I was left all alone. It was obvious that I upset her, but I was supposed to know that the question was off limits. She was the one who brought it up. With a sigh, I got to my feet, cleared the table, and flopped back on my tatami mat. Yet again, I thought I would find someone I could trust, only for them to shut me out for reasons I didn't understand. I said it before and I'll say it again. What made me think I could keep up with her? I mean, just look at how easily she outdid me. She drank all that sack and didn't even look buzzed. Meanwhile, I only drank a single serving and I was feeling lightheaded. Whatever kind of sake that was, it was strong stuff. In all my days, I never felt like as much of a lightweight as I did now. Feeling disappointed in myself for that and more, I laid my head back against the tatami mat and let the warm comfort of sleep overtake me. Except that comfort was snatched away from me far sooner than I would have liked. With a groan, I checked the time on my phone. 2 in the morning. Who could be calling me at this hour? Shima did say she and Ayaka were going to start keeping tabs on me, but did they really have to wake me up in the dead of night? However, my suspicions were proven wrong the second I checked who was calling. Seishi Yoshino. Wait, Yoshino? Was this a relative of Ayaka's? Suddenly feeling concerned for her well-being, I pressed the button to accept the call and raised the phone to my ear. I may have had my suspicions about Ayaka, but I certainly didn't wish her ill. Hello? Hello? Is this the leader of that detestable cult? Detestable? Sorry. But am I missing something here? Who are you? And why are you calling me at such a late hour? The name is Seishi Yoshino, and don't you go forgetting it. I'm Ayaka's husband. Ring any bells? I know she's got a nasty habit of blabbing about how long she's been trying to convince me to join you schmucks. Oh, you are her husband. Rest assured, sir, I haven't laid a single hand on your wife, nor has anyone else. She's in the good hands here. Good hands? Listen, pal, I think you got the wrong idea. And it sounds to me like you don't know the kind of mess you gotten yourself wrapped up in. What are you talking about? When Ayaka got home yesterday, she wouldn't shut her yap about how some poor sod got appointed the next lead of Yoshino, whatever. I found your number in her things just now, so I thought I'll give you a ring. You don't know a damn thing about that cult, do you? Sure, it's all love and happiness now, but it wasn't always that way. And I ain't buying it that they have up and change of heart. Ishinokai wasn't always about lifting people up and helping them find happiness, but that's... no. I'm saying I doubt they are doing that even now. You've only been around for a few days, haven't you? Surely you got suspicious of your own bouncing around your noggin. Well, I can't deny that. Nearly every person I interact with since being appointed as lead of Shinokai had aroused my suspicion in some way. The only exception were the new recruits like Kiriko and Hui. Listen, I may be a devoted husband, but I trust my sniffer, and that cult of yours stinks to a high heaven. That's the reason I never set a single toe in that compound, you understand? Okay, so what are you asking me to do exactly? I've been trying to get my wife to turn her back on this garbage for years, but she's in too deep. I can't reach her any longer. Her eyes glaze over, and she keeps mumbling that name, Ishin. My only hope is for someone on the inside to dig up some dirt and help me put your cult in the ground. I want you to help me expose it for what it really is. Do you think you can do that? Part of me wanted to run. What I had before the simple suspicion had now become serious blurring in my head. I know I had good reason to believe this place and the people within it were dangerous. And yet, I couldn't ignore the fact that there were more members of Ishinokai who would serve better. I couldn't just drop everything and leave Ayaka, Kiriko, Marina, Hui, and all the rest to their fates. As such, I steel myself and decide I will be the one to bring the truth of this questionable cult to light. But before I got too far ahead of myself, I still had plenty of questions I needed answers to. I'm sure you're aware that the previous lead is out of commission, but why didn't you ask him to investigate this for you? Believe me, I tried. Never met a more stubborn, cold-hearted son of a bitch in my life. I never talked to him half as much as I talked to you. He was always quick to hang up on me. Alright then, what makes you sure that Ishinokai isn't what it presents itself to be? Do you have any evidence? Nothing that will catch the eye of the police department, not in this city. But back before the image change, whenever Ayaka and I will do the horizontal tango, I sometimes notice whip marks on her. Jesus. Maybe that sort of thing is just that will bring her happiness. Have you ever considered that? Cute, kid, cute. Nah, I know my Yaki, and she ain't the type to like it rough. Been a while since I've seen her like that, though. So maybe they do it all secret like nowadays. I see. Is there anything else you can tell me? Let me think. I know. You run into that idol Marina Nishiki yet? The cute one that men all over this country are going gaga for? Yeah, we were actually drinking together just a few hours ago. Damn, I caught you in the nick of time then. Don't trust her. She's a harpy. If you knew even half of the rumors swirling around her, you'll make sure that what you drank earlier wasn't poison. Actually, you might want to consider doing just that. I gulped. I drank far less than Marina did, but there were any number of reasons that could explain why she was perfectly fine. Besides, I had felt like that sake was really strong. Thanks for the friendly warning. Just so you know, I'm actually being monitored right now. Miss Itsuki and your wife are going to be checking in on me every once in a while, so... Itsuki? Shima Itsuki? That witch still hanging around there? You know her? Know her? I probably grew up with her. Even when she was just a tiny little thing, she was finding ways to con folks. Hell, I know for a fact that she's conning my sweet innocent Yaki almost daily. Then you know about the money. Yeah, unluckily, my wife, I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth, so I see the numbers in our bank account changing. Not by much, all things considered, but ain't stupid. Listen, about your little surveillance problem, I can't have you tripping Yaki off about our plan, so I'm just gonna have to ask you to work around it. You understand? If she finds out you tossed your phone and start getting suspicious, cheeks up. Best to just play along and hope you find some solid evidence before you get found out. Alright, I understand. I'm sure I don't need to tell you this, but you can reach me at any time at this number. Thanks, pal. It's reassuring to know someone like you is over there looking after my... Seichi, who are you talking to this late? Shit, time's up. Try to work as quick as you can. I'm counting on you to dig my darling Yaki out of this hole and bring her to her senses. You can count on me, sir. I won't let you down. The line fell silent. I couldn't believe the conversation I just had, but even more unbelievable was how one phone call had made shadows cast by the light trickling in through my window look dark and sinister. I could no longer trust anyone, not Shima, not Marina, and certainly not Ayaka. None of them could find out about what I was up to. This was something I'll have to do alone, or would I? They are my people in Ishinokai who will sympathetic to my cause. The question is, who? And can I trust them to not chicken out halfway through or snitch me on Shima and the others? It was a tough call, and certainly not something I'll be able to come to a decision to tonight. My mind is still running a mile a minute. I'll lean back on my tatami mat and close my eyes. I let go of everything and sunk into darkness, a darkness from which I may never emerge. The next morning I awoke to the sound of bird song. Light was filtering in through the window, vanquished shadows that looked so very oppressive the night before. And in their place was... Good morning! Whoa, Marina, how did you get in here? You left the door unlocked, you silly Billy. I just so happened to be staying in the next room over last night, and I kind of overheard your conversation. You did? You didn't hear the bit about you, did you? I did. You just said you've been drinking a few hours prior. You know, if you introduce me as your girlfriend, I'm not going to complain. Right then. Sounds like my phone volume wasn't loud enough for her to hear Seichi's voice through the wall. Thank Ishin for that. If she'll heard if she'll heard his warning about her. More importantly, I thought up a way to help you get around being monitored by Shima and Ayaka. Without too innocent smile, Marina held up the very crux of the matter, my cell phone. On reflex, I patted my right pants pocket, where I usually kept my phone. Sure enough, it was gone. Marina, come on now. I can't just let you walk out of here with my phone. There's private stuff on there, and I can't risk someone impersonating me, even if it's you. Private stuff? Oh, I can't wait to see it. And if you think a silly password is going to stop me, you can't think again. I know a guy who cracks phones like this for breakfast. Oh, and don't bother trying to claim it as stolen and deactivate it. If I find out you went out and pulled a stunt like that, you'll wish you'll die in that bombing alongside your co-workers. Marina, please, this joke has gone far enough. Give me back my phone. I won't ask you again. I made a grab for my phone, but Marina pulled it out of my reach and brought her face in close to mine. I could still smell the sake on her breath from last night. Was this the alcohol talking, or... Let me make myself perfectly clear. Don't go sticking your nose where it doesn't belong, okay? I was here first, and you are the last person I'm going to let screw my plans. You can still come out of this smelling like a rose, but only if you stick to the script. Run if you like, but if you do, I'll find you. And when I do, what in the... Just kidding. Marina upped away from me and slid my cell phone into her pocket. I couldn't speak, I was frozen in place, gaping at her like a fish. She acted like it was a joke, but how could it be? I have to go to the studio today, but don't worry, I'll keep your phone safe and sound for you. I'll be gone all day, but maybe if I get done in time, I can hurry back and we can have our second date. See you soon, Tiger. Just like that, she was gone. How was I supposed to respond to something like that? She seemed confident in her ability to ruin my life if I tried anything funny, and after hearing Seiji's warning last night, I wasn't about to test her. This is crazy, this is crazy, this is crazy. Finally regaining some control over my legs, I stumbled backwards, tripped right into the mat, and slid to the floor. My butterfly in a web comparison no longer applied. No, it was much worse now. I was like a worm in a birdcage. So many sets of eyes were on me, ready to snatch me up and gobble me whole at a moment's notice. It didn't matter what I did or which of the cage denizens struck first. My demise was right in stone, and I was just a worm, so what hope did I have of escaping these walls? The thought was laughable. I was the woman of Ishin's prey, and I'll enter their cage of my own free will, a fact that will likely follow me to my grave. He's afraid now. He doesn't think this is funny anymore. Feeling like a walking corpse, I stumbled out of my room and crashed into the wall opposite my door, leaning against its glossy surface for support. Even after letting my situation sink in, it felt like there was a pair of hands around my neck. I could barely breathe, and with each deep, labored gasp, the nose tightened, choking the air out of me. Everything unwell? I didn't need to look to see who was fussing over me, but I raised my head regardless. Shima was standing behind me, her hand halfway to my shoulder, and a look of genuine concern on her face. Not wanting to let slip something I should, I peeled myself off the wall and wiped the sweat from my forehead. Hopefully I could play this off without arousing Shima's suspicions. I'm fine. I was just stretching my calves on the windsill. Nothing like an early morning workout to get the blood flowing. If there is anything bothering you, my door is always open. I know we might have gotten off the wrong foot, but as your superior, your problems are my problems. Really, I'm fine, just a little out of breath from all the exercise. I just got done. Enough. Shima shoved me back against the wall. I was just spared myself from her and brought her face close to mine. I glanced up and down the hall to see if there was anyone I could call for help, but no dice. I apologize if that sounded like a friendly invitation. It was an order. Tell me what's troubling you so I can fix it. Because you clearly aren't capable of handling it yourself. I should have seen this coming. Trying to sneak something by a woman as sharp-eyed as Shima was an exercise in futility. Of course, I couldn't just tell her what would happen last night, which put me in a tight spot. Maybe I could get away with a half-truth? It was worth a shot, and at this point, it was the only way I could see myself leaving this hallway in one piece. Okay, it's about Marina. She paid me a visit maybe half an hour ago and took my cell phone from me. Did she now? Yeah, and I know you are trying to keep tabs on me, so I was afraid you'll get mad. You can check my pockets or send a search team into my room if that's what it takes to convince you. No, that won't be necessary. Finally, easing up on me, Shima took a step back and pinched the bridge on her nose. Shaking her head in disbelief, I hope Marina wouldn't be upset with me for sharing what she'd done. But what choice did I have? The second Ayaka or Shima had called my cell phone, they would have known something was up. There was no avoiding this conversation, so it was probably best to be open and honest about it. Shima lifted her clipboard and jotted something down, flipping back and forth between several pages in the process. I could only guess she was trying to figure out when to confront Marina over this. This isn't an uncommon occurrence, I take it? No, this is far from the first stunt she pulled. Your predecessor was similarly victimized by her, and on a nearly daily basis. The pranks only really came to a stop when the two started dating. Marina wasn't joking when she said the previous lead and her were an item then. Interesting. Speaking of which, I wouldn't put it by her to try seducing you as well, so be forewarned. I don't think I need to tell you she's a handful for even the most competent among us. I'm way ahead of you there, but could you tell me a little more about the relationship? What's there to say? I wasn't privy to how they act in private, but they look for all the world like a match made in heaven. It was obvious they were madly in love with each other. And they still are, aren't they? Whatever gave you that idea? Come on, out of it. Well, it's just that Marina and I got to talk last night, and she mentioned that she goes to visit him every once in a while, except you always call her for bothering him. She said that, did she? Shima looked pretty annoyed, though she gave him no indication that she'll be telling me why. Was she simply upset that Marina had made her seem like the bad guy here, or... Let's change the subject, shall we? The reason I came all this way is to inform you of your schedule for the next few days. First, we will be doing some charity work in the local park this afternoon. The same park you found me in? That's the one, and I think you'll be rather pleased once you hear the specifics. We are going to be serving a nice hot meal to those in need. Those affected by the bombings the other day, for instance. That actually is something I'm passionate about. Yeah, I'll be more than happy to pitch in. Who all will be there? At the press it will be you, myself, Ayaka, a handful of our more senior members, and any new recruits who are well enough to start giving back to the community. The event should serve as an effective way of getting those we welcome in during the initiation ceremony involved and helping them internalize our values. No objections, I take it? No, that sounds great. And knowing how good of a cook Miss Yoshino is, I'm sure those who show up will walk away feeling plenty satisfied. Excellent. Then moving on to tomorrow's schedule, I'd like to turn your attention to the emblem on the opposite wall. Emblem? You don't mean... I followed Shima's finger, which, as I expect, was pointing to the symbol like to a set of dice to the other day. Was she finally going to tell me the meaning behind it? It was about time. Previously, Junkrat's surmised that this emblem belongs to Ishinokai. This may come as quite a shock to you, but the entity it actually represents is the end of days Kohop. I'm sorry, the what now? I stuck a finger in my ear and twisted it around in search of earwax, thinking I must have misheard her. A name I thought I heard was completely at odds with Ishinokai values, so surely. Haven't you ever wondered how all these cults of different beliefs have managed to operate in the same city without stepping on each other's toes? It's all thanks to the end of days Kohop. Rest assured, the name wasn't my idea, and I've been pressing the other cult leaders to have it changed. Unfortunately, I'm but one of many voices, and Ishinokai is in a precarious position as it stands. Back up a sec, you are telling me this symbol represents a conglomerate of cults who have agreed to a ceasefire of sorts? Not a ceasefire, a vow of cooperation. Through this arrangement, we avoid conflict not only with each other, but with those in positions of authority. Take the bombing of your workplace, for instance. You will expect the police to put their foot down and arrest those responsible, agreed? Everyone knows who's to blame. It will be a slam dunk case, but they were untouchable. This was it. This was the missing piece that made sense of how so many cults had been left to operate unchecked. They will cover each other's ass as situation called for it. It's been written off as a freak accident. A gas pipe burst and the building went up in flames. Oh, very tragic. Oh, very convenient for those who lit the fuse. Does it upset you, knowing Ishinokai is complicit in the tragedies that claimed the lives of your coworkers and left you without a home? Upset me? Of course it upsets me. Give me one good reason why I shouldn't just give you the finger and march out of here, right? Good. Keep that anger bottled up inside you and don't let it fizzle out. In case it wasn't obvious, this state of affairs isn't ideal for us either, but it's a necessary evil, for now at least. What do you mean? In order for a cult to grow and thrive in this city, it's practically necessary to join the co-op. Otherwise, there is nothing stopping rival cults from slaughtering you and your followers in cold blood. And even assuming you somehow manage to stay on those whack jobs good side, there's nothing stopping the authorities from cracking down on you and parading your cops around to assuage their batters. What else is that? Assuage? Think about it. How many times have you seen a front page article that says something along the lines of death cult now dead and buried? Police say crime rate down 10%. The streets are now safe again. If you don't want to become another statistic, you do what needs to be done, even if that means getting to bed with a bunch of lowlifes. Then what? I don't get it. What's your endgame here? Convince the other cult leaders they were wrong? Get them to dissolve their cults and live happily ever after? Get real. If only it were so simple. Change doesn't happen overnight, and I don't expect us to persuade our peers anytime soon, if at all. No, the best we can hope for is to grow large enough to win over the hearts and minds of the public. Death and despair may persist, but if we can get love and joy to eclipse that, It was idealistic to be sure, but I couldn't help but join Shima in emphasizing about how drastic of an improvement that will be over the current state of the city. It certainly sounded like her heart was in the right place, but even as I smiled back at her, I was overcome with doubt. After all, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. For all I knew, she was another wolf in sheep's clothing like Marina, except this woman was no sheep. I shuddered at the thought of how terrifying she could get if this was her at her best. Unfortunately, that day is still quite a way off, and our position in the co-op is rather weak at the present. We are given the same benefits as everyone else, but the way we are treated is troubling. What sort of benefits come with being a member exactly? Nothing you wouldn't expect, I'm sure. If any issues arise that may cause problems with law enforcement, the co-op helps us smooth things over. We have no real need of that naturally. More importantly, we are provided with financial support as well as schedule of other cult activities that allow us to avoid crossing paths and encroaching on others' affairs. As an example, I can tell you that tomorrow one of the city's doomsday cults will be posting people throughout the park to spread the good word about how we will all perish in the Sea of Flames next year. And that's how you knew to schedule our charity word for today. It does seem like being in co-op has its advantage. Wait, but what was that Shima said about financial assistance? Doesn't that contradict what Marina and Seiji told me? Maybe Shima's accepting money from the co-op and stealing from Ayaka on site? I'm glad you understand. Now back to the reason I brought you this up. Tomorrow evening is the co-op monthly meeting, and I need you to be not only in attendance but on your best behavior. More of my duties as a figurehead, huh? Exactly. The plan will be much the same as it was during yesterday's initiation ceremony. You're welcome to introduce yourself to the other cult leaders, but once the meeting begins, I'll do the talking. A meeting like that will be a great place to probe for information about Ishinokai history, but if Shima intend to breathe down my neck the entire time, I was probably out of luck. Don't look so dejected. I know you are eager to prove yourself and bring further disaster upon us, but I do have one little favor to ask of you. A favor that may slightly improve my opinion of you. Really? What is it? I was going over matters with Ayaka last night, and she mentioned that you had run into Kiriko in the assembly hall the night before. I would like you to speak with her when you get the chance. Kiriko. Isn't that the woman who's been having a hard time acclimating to our ways? Yeah, she's a bit too overeager. Not unlike yourself, I would like you to see if you can find common ground with her and perhaps even act as a sort of mentor to her. Great, so the babysat is being told to babysit, and you really trust me not to mess this up? Mess up? Why? I don't see how Kiriko's situation can possibly get any worse, which makes it the perfect job for someone who brings disaster everywhere he goes. Shima chuckled, eliciting a groan of irritation from me. I guess it was foolish of me to assume I would earn my salary so easily. Thought this could serve as a good opportunity to earn some points with Shima. Incidentally, though she is no longer the newest member of ranks, I have invited Kiriko to join us at the park in a bit. Perhaps this can serve as an opportunity for you to get better acquainted. Marina is not going to be there by any chance, is she? No, I believe she's away on business today, so I haven't bothered to invite her. You haven't already forgotten my warning, have you? No. In fact, it's precisely because of your warning that I felt the need to ask. How unexpected for thinking of you. While Marina had told me she'll be stuck doing idle work all day, it was hard for me to take anything she said at face value anymore, and the last thing I wanted was to have a sudden panic attack at the park. Hearing Shima confirm that Marina will be out of the picture for today was deeply reassuring. I let out a sigh that I felt like I've been holding since the minute she revealed her true colors to me. Apart from the event at the park and the monthly co-op meeting, the rest of the week will be yours to do with as you see fit. Of course, I could always find more work for you to do if need be, but let's just see how the next 2 days pan out and go from there, huh? With that, Shima turned on her heel and started off down the hallway. I watched her go for a second before I realized she forgot the most crucial part. Just before she vanished from sight, I called out to her. Mishitsuki, wait! When and where are we going to meet up for that charity event? Oh, didn't I say? The preparations are almost ready, and it will take us a while to get everything set up once we are there, so meet us outside the front gate in 30 minutes or so. With a wave of her clipboard, she must appear around the corner. It was still morning, meaning this will likely be another all-day affair. At least It will be more fulfilling than yesterday's ceremony. Just before I step into a stairwell myself, I took one last look at the emblem that adorned our halls. The way it was built right into the wall must have signified how in depth we were to the co-op. I still don't know what those three dice-like objects I'm even meant to represent. Maybe it's mentioned in that one booklet? I decided to grab it out my room before heading down to the front gate. I had a good half hour before we left to the park, so why not use that time to educate myself? Except that turned out to be a big mistake. As I made my way to the front gate, I'll bury my nose into Co-op's booklet, tripping and falling down a flight of stairs in process. Thankfully, a group of followers had been nearby and transported me to the infirmary. A few punch and stitches later, I was safely outside the building. Not my lucky day. At least I finally know what the emblem represents, the three pillars of cult life. Charismatic leader, hardened believers, and secrecy. No matter how far back in history you look at, every notable cult was propped up by those three facets. Thought what concerned me the most was the last of them. Shima wanted to change the landscape of this city, but in order to do that, we will have to knock one of those pillars down. For Yoshino Kai to realize its full potential, there could be no more secrets. I've been thinking, and if I want to make a move and try to uncover these cult secrets, today was the day to do it. Marina will be gone all day, providing me with a tiny sliver of freedom. Hey, you there, you look like a real loser. Take one of these pamphlets and come visit us during our initiation ceremony. I look into my right to see a familiar face call out to a random guy. He gave her a weird look and tried to walk around her, but she chased after him and smacked him over the back of the head with her pamphlet. What are you, an insult? Here, take a few of these and hand them out to your friends and family. Yeah, don't try to hide it. I can tell just by looking at you that you live in your parents' basement. It looked like Rui was trying to convince people to join Yoshino Kai, but her approach left a lot to be desired. With a sigh, I rolled up the Cook's booklet, crammed it up in my pocket, and stepped it up to her. You do realize we aren't that sort of a cult, right? So, it still makes for good recruitment material. I didn't even know how to respond to that, and I wasn't about to let her drag Yoshino Kai name through the mud. So before she could react, I launched at her and ripped the pamphlet out of her hand. Hey, what the hell do you think you are doing? Who put you up to this, huh? Was it Marina? Because if this is a part of that plan she was talking about, then... For your information, Shima asked to stand out here and entice people to join, and she was super happy with last night's results. I apologize, I'll return this to you. Bowing as deep as I could, I offered the pamphlets to Hoi. She snatched them away from me with a snarl. Immediately, I jumped the gun on this one. The last thing I wanted was to get on Shima's bad side. That's more like it. But I'm still so frustrated. Last night went great. I recruited tons of people. Then I come out here today and everyone's giving me the cold shoulder. What gives? Maybe it's different demographic. What kind of people did you get staying up last night? A few junkies, a couple of drunk university students, a crazy homeless lady who smelled like a dead whale. You know, the usual. Well, that explains it. When the sun goes down, the city's dark underbelly rears its head. You are not going to encounter many people on the bottom rung of society in broad daylight. Oh, I getcha. Isn't that a good thing though? If you are supposed to be promoting love and happiness, wouldn't we want to offer it to those who need it most? That's a great point actually. No wonder Miss Itsuki was so pleased with your work last night. I knew you'll come around, Chief. Old Eagle Eye even gave me a nice reward for my hard work. A bounce house. You should check it out sometime. It's just around the back of the main building. She gave you a bounce house? What kind of reward is that? The first of many, that's what. She asked me what will bring me happiness, and I give her a whole laundry list of luxury products. You might as well kneel because I'm about to live like a queen. You are saying for every successful night of promotion, she's promised to buy you something off your wish list? Good grief, I can't imagine that's going to be good for your finances. Well, hey, happiness means different things to different people. To one person, one meal might be all it takes. To me, it's more about getting the junk I always wanted but never had. Speaking of which, I'm pretty sure one of the guys I recruited last night is a pot dealer, so you know who to call if you ever need a sister to hook you up. Rui gave me a wink, sticking her tongue out like a mischievous rascal, like Marina. I could barely keep up with this girl. I thought I doubted she was about to go all Mr. Hyde on me, and thank you Shin for that. I was about to go back to reading my booklet and leave Rui to her work when it hit me like a freight train. This materialistic, loudmouthed girl could be just the person I needed to turn my situation around. Actually, I'm glad you brought all that up, because there's something I've been meaning to talk to you about. Sorry, I don't know anyone deals in the other stuff. No, this isn't about the drugs. When I gave you Ishin's blessing yesterday, I got the sense that you are an honest, talented, dependent young lady. Would you agree? Sounds to me like you are talking out of your ass. I wasn't born yesterday, you know? Whatever you are after, buttering me up isn't going to do any favors. But that's just it. You don't put up with anyone's crap, and judging by your request at the ceremony yesterday, you are willing to do whatever it takes to ensure your own happiness. Yeah, well, it could be ensuring my happiness right now if you weren't distracting me from my work, so get the point. Alright then, I'll be blunt. Ishinoka is in danger. I don't have the full picture yet, but what do I know is that now is the time for action. I need to expose everything before it's too late. And before you ask why you should care, think about what Ishinokai going under will mean for you. All that stuff Shima promised, forget it. Heck, you'll probably have to move back in with your parents. The last point was to cope to Grace. It might not have been true, after all. There was nothing stopping Rui from making it on her own another way, but I knew it would rock her to her core. Alright, you got me there. I might not believe in any of this Ishin garbage, but I don't want to lose what I have here, so start talking. What's the supposed danger that's coming for us? It's kind of a long story, but I'll tell you everything I know. Realizing we didn't have much time left before Shima and the others arrive, I quickly summarized what I learned and witnessed over the past 2 days. Rui's expression never once changed as I spoke. Every once in a while she would nod her head and mutter, "I knew it." But if any of my stories surprised her, she sure didn't show it. Marina being a convening bimbo is the least surprising thing I've heard all here. I mean, just look at the way she carries herself. She's as fake as can be. Imagine falling for such an obvious ploy. Yeah, I imagine. Anyway, if you are telling me all this, I'm guessing you want me to be your partner in crime. Well, count me in. You haven't forgotten that we need to uncover whatever dark truths Miss Itsuki and Miss Yoshino are hiding, right? Marina is just one of many threats to Ishinokai future. Yeah, whatever. I can live with people getting tortured in secret, or Shima's sucking the blood out of followers if it means I get to live like a princess. At least you are honest about it. So, what should our first move be? Shima's roped me into doing charity work at the park today, and I doubt I'll be able to learn much there. Same here, unfortunately. In all honesty, even with you on my side, I don't know how much we can figure out on our own. What we really need is to find someone more in the know who can. Well, it looks like you two are getting along swimmingly. A shiver raced up my spine when I heard Shima's voice behind me. Hoping she hadn't overheard our conversation, I turned around and forced the biggest smile I could muster. For a blessing, she and the others were only just passing through the gate, so they almost certainly been out of earshot. It looked like Rui and I will have to pick up where we left off later. Hey Shima, thanks again for the bounce house. I'll always wonder what it will be like to have one right in my backyard, and now I don't have to wonder any longer. I'm glad it's to your liking. How have things been going this morning? Are you still bringing some impressive numbers? Nope. A whole funeral procession passed by a little while ago, and I will have them hook, line, and sinker, but then this guy got up in my face and hasn't shut up since. It's all his fault. Is that so? Hey, Hui, what happened to being honest and trustworthy? Look, he's even calling me by my first name without my permission. The nerve of this guy. If you have a torture dungeon or something you can use, you ought to lock him up and throw away the key. Excuse me? I'm afraid that's not how we do things around here, but I'll remember this when the time comes for his early evaluation. Thank you for coming forward with this, Hui. I'll have to reward you later. I can't believe this. Good day to you, sir. I'll ask you how you are doing, but it seems you have already had quite an eventful morning. You could say that. It's good to see you, Miss Yoshino. I'm excited to see we'll be serving up today's event. You're not one to disappoint. It's kind of you to say that, but I'm nothing more than another set of hands today. Miss Itsuki and I have been wanting Miss Itomi to get more involved, so we asked her to come up with today's menu. Hello again, sir. I'd just like to apologize once more for my behavior the other day. Kiriko stepped forward and got down on her hands and knees, bowing as deeply as possible. Even Ayaka had never treated me so respectfully, so watching her prostrate herself before me felt pretty awkward. It's alright, really. I can't wait to see what you have come up with. I'm sure the food we have served today will make the people of the city very happy. Kiriko rose to her feet and flashed me what I assumed to be a relieved smile. Honestly, it was hard to tell with this woman. It seemed like her eyebrows were constantly at the odds with how she was feeling. Well then, shall we go? The truck should be around shortly, so Ayaka, if you will be so kind. Yes, Miss Itsuki. Ayaka nodded to Kiriko, and they pulled the covered trolleys they will be standing beside past us. I could only assume they hid the food we'll be serving, as the smell coming off them was heavenly. Speak of the devil. Here's the truck now. Let's load everything up and get who's riding with who sorted. Needless to say, you and I will be taking the limo. Shima turned to me as she said that. It was as obvious as ever that she wanted to keep an eye on me, but I was more annoyed at Hoyt than anyone. Why she'll have to go and say I sabotage her work? No surprise there. I'll meet you in the parking lot. It's the park. Let me save. Oh, this already Act 2? It doesn't even say? Huh. It took quite a bit longer than I expected to get everything set up. At Ayaka's command, a group of followers pulled several long folding tables out of the truck and lined them up along the side of the park. Once that was done, they started pulling tray after tray of food off the back of the truck and setting everything out on the tables. I had to wonder if the truck contained a portal to another dimension because the quantity of food here was absurd. Still, nothing would prepare me for what I saw when the trays were finally uncovered. What in the world? There was no rhyme or reason to any of the food we'll be serving. Fresh sushi, cranberry sauce, chili. None of the dishes seemed like they would pair well. It was the most baffling spread I'll ever laid eyes on. Poor Kiriko, she'd undoubtedly done her best, but who would have thought our menu would end up looking like it belonged in a cheap buffet? Then again, maybe that was for the best, considering how many folks of differing tastes will be passing through. This level of diversity will most likely work to our benefit. Now that the tables are set, I'll be assigning everyone to a station, Kiriko. You'll be on fruit. Hui, you can handle the vegetables. Ayaka, can I trust you with the main course? Absolutely. And I'll roll some sushi whenever there's a lull in the action to ensure we don't run out. I can always count on you to handle the most trying of missions with elegance and grace. As for you, Shima looked me up and down, carefully considering where to put me. I secretly hoped I'll be positioned close enough to Hoy to continue our conversation from earlier. And to my surprise, yes, the third station should do quite nicely. You'll be right at the front of the line next to Hoy. No objections, I take it? None whatsoever. Good. Try not to hurt yourself while slicing up the fruitcake. I don't know how you got those injuries in the short period between our little talks this morning and now, but there's no infirmary here. She gestured to the wounds I sustained here after falling down the stairs, before continuing down the line and assigning the rest of the followers to the stations that remained. What mattered was that I would be next to Hui, which make it all too easy for us to spitball ideas for our next move. The best laid plans were often drawn in plain sight, after all. Hey, looks like we lucked out. Sure did, but let's keep the celebration to a minimum. It will probably be best for us to act naturally and only start talking about you know what once it gets busy. Right. I'll follow your lead then, Chief. Hui and I assumed our positions, taking a few minutes to get a feel for our stations. There were only a few items available for dessert, so my job looked like it was going to be pretty easy, but fruitcake, candy corn, and saltwater taffy, two of these I don't even have to serve. And the fruitcake? I'll be surprised if anyone comes along asking for a slice. It was long before our line started forming. I guess word about our little event had spread pretty well. People from all walks of life were stopping by, young, old, rich, poor. It was gladdening to see. Of course, a number of families had been playing at the park before we arrived, and they were first in line to fill their bellies. Their glowing faces were all the evidence I needed of our success. And yet, we weren't even an hour in before things started getting a little weird. Oh, you are. I glanced over, expecting it to be one of Ayaka's friends or relatives, but what I saw made warning bells ring in my ears. No, the person at the head of the line was a walking calamity, mayhem personified. Who the hell is that name? Zero One? Remember me, do you? Your leader over there promised me 50 million yen the other day. Oh, at first I thought I'll come here just to rest my weary bones and eat something other than cold, tasteless gruel, but the old woman whacked the pot of chili in front of Ayaka with her cane, making everyone around jump and stare. With a sinister toothy grin, she made her intentions known to us. I think I would like to collect on my first payment. I don't try to act like you can't cut me a check here and now, missy. I know who you are. Yes, the famous heiress. I knew you were Pappy. Like a samurai ready to claim the head of his foe, the old crane raised her cane, pointing it at Ayaka. A few of the onlookers took a step back, while others excused themselves from the line entirely. Don't think I'm above tattling on folks. If I'm not holding a big fat check in my hand in the next minute, I'll tell him all about what this cult you should stand for and get him to freeze your account. My apologies. I didn't know you were acquainted with my father, but... Excuse me, is there some sort of problem here? I'm the one in charge of Yoshino Finance, so if you are here to inquire about monetary agreement, I'll ask you to step over here and... No, I don't trust any of yous. You'll settle this right here. This line doesn't move until I'm given what I'm owed. Hui and I share a look, but there was nothing either of us could do. Heck, I wasn't sure if even Shima was up to the task of defusing the situation. However, I couldn't have been more wrong. It was almost imperceptible, but as Shima continued chatting with the old witch, she gave Ayaka a tiny nod. With a resolute look, Ayaka scooped out a bowl of chili, but she didn't stop there. After quietly slipping a hand into her pocket, she pulled out a small vial and an eyedropper. While everyone was focused on Shima and the old woman, she spiked the ball of chill with something. Oh, very well, you've convinced me. Here, why don't you try a bowl of Ayaka's famous 5-alarm chili while we discuss how much to give you? Heh, now you are speaking my language. Here, give me that lousy excuse for a bowl of vitals. I'll be sure to let everyone know just how inedible it is. The old axe snatched the ball of chill out of Ayaka's hands, giving a tentative sniff before recoiling in disgust. Part of me felt like I should intervene, but whatever was coming, she kind of deserved it. With shaking hands, she tucked her cane under her arm and brought the ball to her lips, tilting her head back and letting its dubious contents slide down her throat. 1, 2, 3, 4 alarm. But where's the fifth? Don't tell me you are so unskilled in the kitchen that you forgot to. All of a sudden the old woman stopped a cold. The color left her face, and the ball she'll be holding fell to the ground with a clatter. There was no way, right? Ayaka wouldn't have... The old bat flailed her arms around wildly, clawing at her chest with what may or may not have been exaggerated movements. It was kind of hard to tell how much of it she was faking at this point. After spinning around a few times, she lurched forward, slamming her hands on the table in one last defiant effort to stay standing. Her cheeks now bright red, she rose her hand and hissed, "This isn't over, Ishinokai. There's the fifth alarm for you. Be gone from our sight." The last of her strength finally leaving her body, the old crane's legs gave out, and she crumpled to the ground like a wadded ball of tissue paper. A murmur went up from the crowd, but it didn't seem like anyone was about to step forward and help her. I certainly wasn't about to try to revive her. That 15 million will have come out my pay. Please, there's no cause for alarm. There's nothing more than an unfortunate timed heart attack. An ambulance will be dispatched shortly, and the man will be in good hands from there. Now, if any strapping young man will care to safety roll her into the grass over here, we can keep the line moving. What the fuck? As a handful of onlookers reluctantly obliged, Hui and I traded a look. Our shouts had both hit the ground, so it was safe to assume she will also witness Ayaka's spiking the ball of chili. You don't think that was... It was poison, I'm sure of it. Poison? The moon-eyed child in front of Hui's station raised her head, looking like she'd just been woken from a nightmare. I groaned and shook my head. Figures the loudmouth wouldn't know when to keep her voice down. Oh, oops, yeah, it was vegetable poisoning. That what happens when you eat too many vegetables, so maybe it will be better for you to skip this station, kid. Oh, I knew mommy and daddy were lying to me when they said I needed to eat my vegetables. Given the green beans that were already on her plate, a disgusting look, the pint-sized girl stood on her tiptoes and scrapped them back into the appropriate tray. All the while, I just continued shaking my head. Thanks for being honest with me, miss. I'll make sure to tell my parents what you told me when they come to pick me up later. Yeah, sure, you do that. Having a side... I gave the little girl an extra helping on candy corn and shot Hui its approving look. Apparently she didn't have an ounce of shame though, because she looked as happy as a clam. Phew, it's a good thing kids are so stupid, huh? Just try to lower your voice, okay? We can't let Ayaka and Shima know we are on to them. Do you really think they killed that old bat? I can't see Shima being that cold-hearted, but Ayaka? Well, you said it yourself, didn't you? She obviously knows more than she's willing to own up to. Besides, she's the one who spiked the damn food. If anything, I'll put this more on her than Shima. She was right. I knew she was right. And yet, just what the heck was going on behind the scenes in this cult? In any case, we need to come up with a plan of action. And we need to do it quick. I swore to Ayaka's husband that I will get her out of this mess, and I won't be able to do that if she gets arrested for murder. Right, what do you have in mind, Chief? Like I said earlier, What will really help us out is if we could find someone who's familiar with Yoshino inner workings. Obviously, Ayaka and Shima are out of the question. Neither of them can be trusted, which doesn't leave us with a lot of options. Are there even other notable members in this cult? Nah, most of them are faceless losers. Even someone like you has more personality than all of them put together. I doubt they will be much of help to us, but what if? Do you have someone in mind? Well, if you want to talk to someone who knows Ishinoka inside and out, who better than the guy who came before you? The old leader? I know he's being kept somewhere inside the compound, but finding him without anyone catching us will be like finding a needle in a haystack that's being patrolled 24/7 by armored guards. I know, but there's gotta be someone who can give us an idea of where he's being held. Someone who's been here longer than us and was actually around when the last guy was still in power. I think the vast majority of Ishin's followers fit the bill, unlike you. I couldn't put a name to most of their face. In fact, besides you, Ayaka, Marina, and Shima, the only person I know by name is... I craned my neck searching for the endless expanse of mismatched cuisine for the fruit station. Hui followed my eyes and a few moments later I found the woman I was looking for. I'm really sorry, miss, but I can't do it. Durians wear me out, and I honestly think I prefer to stick to this little box of fruit juice. Don't be so short-sighted. Fruit juice is all sugar, while durians are one of the most nutritious fruits there are. You want to know where chasing short-term happiness will get you? An early grave. Is that what you want, huh? Deep down, do you secretly want to die? I just want to eat the foods I enjoy. Yeah, well, sometimes in order to be truly happy, we have to do things we don't enjoy. What's easy isn't necessarily what's best for us, and if you join Ishinokai, you'll learn. You'll learn that those aren't teachings at all. Missy Tommy, how many times must I emphasize that different people have different ideas of what will bring them happiness? Don't give me that. Haven't you ever considered that Ishin might be wrong? That all these things she promised will ultimately leave people feeling even emptier than before? Please, man, I'm begging you to really think about it. Can't you see that there is something wrong with this picture? This happiness Ishin helps people find. It's fleeting. Missy Tommy, I don't take any pleasure in threatening people like this, and I'm the last person who wants to see you come to harm, but do you want us to start punishing you again? Do it, you mindless bitch. See if I care. You all like to act like Ishin no Kai's changed, but it doesn't change one bit, does it? No, this cult is as self-serving and demanding as ever. Take her back to her room. I'll cite her punishment later. I give the okay to the two followers at her side, whereupon they grab us, stumbled forward, grab Kiriko by the arms, and start dragging her away. All the while, she screamed like a banshee. As much of an unruly daughter as ever, please take this time to reflect upon your actions and repent for my sake. Shaking her head like a disapproving mother, Ayaka returned to her station, whispering something in Shima's ear along the way. Still processing what I was just witnessed, I turned back to Hui. What the hell was that? I think we have our answer. Kiriko is our woman. She ticks off all the boxes. She's been around longer than us. She also grudged against the cult itself, and she's seen what it hides with her own eyes. Sure, but we don't know if she can tell us where the previous dude's room is. And it sounds like she's gonna be confined to her room until Ayaka decides on her punishment, whatever that means. True, we are on something of a time limit here. At least one of us needs to get out of here and find Kiriko before the charity event ends, and Ayaka and Shima return to the compound. Oh, if you need someone to get tossed out of place, I'm your girl. I'll just flip a few tables and punch some random asshole into next week. It never fails. That's oddly specific, but no. I'd rather not see anyone get hurt. And there are children around, so let's try to keep it PG-13. It needs to be something that won't disrupt the event too much, but will. Hey, how long are you two gonna stand there yammering to each other? This is supposed to be a charity event, ain't it? Then give me some dumb charity already. Sorry, sir, we'll be right with. The rest of my sense died in my throat. I knew this person. It was my boss from back at the office. He survived the bombing? But how? And more importantly, why? He was a horrible boss and even more horrible person. If you were a man, you might as well have been the grime of the bottom of his shoe. And if you were a woman, you were nothing more than an object to him. Wait a minute, don't I know you from somewhere? Yeah, I recognize that greasy mug. You are one of the cockroaches who kept me from getting that end of the year bonus, ain't you? Yeah, it's good to see you again, boss. How did you survive the bombing? I thought they say on the news that no one besides me made it alive. I was chatting with that cute starry-eyed receptionist when all the bombs went off. Didn't see that coming, that's for sure. You were with her? Yeah, lucky for me when door got blasted into smithereens, all that shrapnel lodged itself right in her back. Hey, where do you get off thinking you can talk about a woman who died protecting you like that? Chief, are you sure you don't want me to? No, let him talk. Okay then. I felt bad for snapping at Roy, but I needed to hear every last word of this detestable man's account. Blood was rushing to my head, my hands were starting to shake, and I could feel tears stinging my eyes. Little did Rui or anyone in Yoshino Kai know, there was one other thing I lost to that day, something far dearer to me than any home or job could ever be. I had my eye on my building's receptionist for months, and just weeks before that fateful day, she agreed to start going out with me. At the time, I felt like I was the happiest guy in the world. She wasn't just smart and beautiful, she was a dreamer. She always stared off into the distance like she was looking at something just out of reach, and talked about how much she wanted to be a nurse. Of course, nursing school is extremely expensive, so she often vented to me about how she'll never be able to attend on a receptionist salary. She was thinking about finding another job, but then all of a sudden, the complaints stopped. I asked her if she'll find another job, but she just said she'll ask the boss for a raise and he gave it to her. Like a fool, I thought the boss had turned over a new leaf and had decided to start treating his employees even better. If he gave her the raise because she agreed to do that with him. Funny enough, when I crawled out of that closet and made a mad dash from the door, I caught a glimpse of her desk. Everything else was all busted up or burning away, but that desk wasn't touched. Then if she didn't then if she hadn't been with you, she would have. Yeah, probably. Anyway, none of that matters now. The company big wigs upgraded me to an even cushier desk job, so I'm still living large. The receptionists aren't as good as this office, but you make do with what you got. Hey, give me some of that fruitcake, will you? I could no longer hear anything he was saying. Hui saw the crazy look on my face and said something to me, but I couldn't hear her either. My mind had been consumed by rage, and I was about to explode. Breathing heavily, I turned from the man and dashed all the way down to the other end of the table, where Ayaka was happily plating some sushi for an elderly couple. I needed help, I needed revenge. Miss Yoshino, the poison. I need you to lend me the poison. Poison? I don't know what you. Don't play dumb. I know you poisoned that old woman earlier. I need whatever you gave her right now. They are poisoning the elderly? Oh dear heavens. I knew the younger generation didn't want to take care of us, but this is too much. With a wail of horror, the old lady fainted dead away. That was two old women down for the count, but I didn't care. I thrust my hands toward Ayaka, motioning for her to stop stalling and give me the poison. Sir, I don't know what you think you saw, but you are causing a scene. You may be our leader, but if you continue causing a disturbance, I'll have no choice but I'll forget, you are useless. What? Alright, that hears it. I'm getting a piece of this. Hui flipped the table over and stood up next to me, cracking her knuckles and staring down at the now sniffing man who had been sent flying by my punch. I saw Ayaka call for Shima out of the corner of my eye, which meant we probably had about 10 seconds to beat the living daylights out of this piece of human refuse. I planned to enjoy those 10 seconds to their fullest. Wait, I'll give you anything you want. Please, I'm begging you. Shut up. This is how Ishin treats those who prioritize their own happiness at the detriment of others. We started wailing on him, smashing his face into barely recognizing pulp. Even when Shima and some followers rolled up to pull us off him, we managed to get a few final kicks in. I was proud of her. Do you two have any idea what you are doing? This is going to ruin our reputation and bring the police down on us hard. I hope you are happy, because I'm sending both of you straight to... I saw that guy they beat up rich for the Tanner girls, but it is how Ishin treats the scum of the city. You can sign me up. You see what they just did, son? I want you to learn from their example. If you ever see a man treat your sister like that, you beat them bloody and send them packing. Got it? I wish my wife had been conscious enough to see that. Let's give it up for Ishin, protector of the city. To our surprise, Hui and I received a boisterous round of applause. The look on Shima's face was absolutely priceless. As the whooping and the hollering died down, I turned to Shima with a cocky smile. Yeah, I'll say I'm pretty happy. What? You aren't? Regardless of the public perception of what you have done, you can't stay here. You four, escort them to a vehicle and take them back to the headquarters. We'll talk later. The followers Shima addressed led us to a black van and ushered us inside. All the while, Hui and I couldn't stop grinning at each other. Not only had we accomplished our goal, but we improved the public's perception of Ishino Kai and done what the police never would, punish a criminal. I know we made a pretty great team. Little did we know, this was only the start of what will soon prove to be one of the hardest days of our lives. So, hope you guys enjoy here some gameplay of my life as a culture leader. It's a visual novel, of course, doesn't have all the content in the censored version. If you want to see all the content, you need to download the uncensored version for free on Kagura Games website. It's free, the patch, but of course you need to get the game first. You need to buy the game on Steam or on GOG. On GOG, it brings immediately the uncensored patch. No, it doesn't bring immediately. You need to download for free too, but you don't need to go to Kagura Game website. You download for free on GOG Games. If you buy on Steam, you buy the game and you get the censored version, and then you need to go to Kagura Games website and download the uncensored patch from there. You need to find the game and download from there. But yeah, it's a cool game. It's easy to understand what's gonna happen. It's like you're gonna need to find the secrets behind this cult of Ishinokai, and try to see what's happening before, what they do and stuff like that. But it's different from other games of Kagura Games, because the other ones mostly games from them is always like RPG, like sometimes turn-based fighting. Of course, sometimes it's with RPG Maker, but it's not fighting. It's like more talking to people and nothing else. This one is like a visual novel. It's not RPG Maker, nothing like that. It's a visual novel. A lot of dialogue. I think there's choice. I think people talk that there's choice, but probably it's on the uncensored version that there is choice for you to do. But yeah, if you play Kagura games, this is a good one, but you need to like visual novels. If you don't like visual novels, probably it's good to skip, because you need to read to know what's happening in the story and stuff like that. You cannot skip, because like that you don't understand story. But yeah. So, hope you guys enjoy your gameplay of my cult live as a... How it is? I always forget the name of the game. It's hard to know. It's my life as a cult leader. My life as a cult leader. So, hope you guys enjoyed, and see you guys next time.